just giving a bit of context, we have online marketplaces today representing over 50% of e-commerce sales, and we see that more the biggest players are marketplaces such as Amazon, Alibaba, and JD.com. But in spite of this, we see that in the ACEPI, IDC, and .pt digital economy study in 2023, that Portuguese companies are still only less than 10% of Portuguese companies have a presence in marketplaces, 9% in international marketplaces, and only 5% in Portuguese marketplaces, which are here very well represented. However, we also see that Portuguese consumers value very much marketplaces because of the broad catalog it brings and also the competitive prices that. So speaking of competitive prices, I will start with André from Quanto Custa. What advantages did Quanto Custa see in becoming a marketplace, coming from being a price comparison tool? What advantages they saw they could bring to companies and also to end consumers?
To the users.
Yes.
So thank you and good morning everyone. So it all started more or less 6 years ago. So Quanto Custa began its journey in 2005 as a price comparison website, and in 2018 we decided to open a marketplace also. And why? 3 main reasons. The users, they asked us because of credibility. All the users, they know Quanto Custa, but they don't know most of the stores that are present in Quanto Custa. Secondly, it's more profitable than a price comparison website. So we earn more money for a transaction than for a click. That is the main as we started. And also because it's the future. The future is marketplaces, and the stores, the merchants, they need to be present in marketplaces. So that's why we decided to open a marketplace, and what we give to the merchants is the same that we did as a price comparison website: visibility, credibility, because people know Quanto Custa, but a vaster audience, because people, what we saw was the users, they will not buy from that store because it's for them, they don't know the store, so they prefer to buy in Quanto Custa than on the store. That's why we decided to open the marketplace, and that's also what we bring to the merchants.
Can you tell us a bit about how many merchants have you converted from only being there for the price comparison?
At the moment, 70% of the stores present in Quanto Custa are present in marketplace. We know there are big stores that will never become a marketplace, and they will continue to be on CPC model. But every day we have stores converting from CPC to marketplace, every day. Also because we implemented, we needed to go back to go to the future. The user experience of a user that goes to a price comparison website is different than the one that is going to buy inside a marketplace. So we needed to understand how we could help the stores to sell more, how to convert more, and that is a job that we did, and the store will only profit from that. Also, we implemented several payment methods that are helping the stores to grow more and more. And again, we are a different marketplace for the most common ones. We are a pure marketplace. We don't buy or sell product. Okay? Quanto Custa, we don't have a warehouse, we don't buy, we don't sell. all the best products and the best prices that are present on Quanto Custa are from merchants, not from us. And that is something that we give to the stores.
So the model in Vorten is different, the history is different. So we are coming from a brick and mortar retailer onto a retailer, an omni-channel retailer with e-commerce, and then has added on the marketplace platform. So you, in a sense, you are competing with your own stores, but also have this omni-channel faculty and logistics that maybe Quanto Custa is not bringing to the merchants. Do you want to tell us a bit about that history? Sure. And the challenges?
Thank you, and good morning. Vorten's a traditional retailer, so we have over 200 stores all over the country. We have a presence in Spain and in the Canary Islands, and more and more opening up international outlets as we speak with our iServices brand as well. Entering Paris, Belgium, etc. So we're growing a lot internationally, which is very good. The business model is slightly different as well. Nowadays, around 20% of all sales at Vorten are completely digital, and that's a big victory, coming from about 5 to 6% pre-pandemic. Better than everything. While traditional retailers have grown the online sales during the pandemic, which is normal, most of them actually retracted those sales to pre-pandemic growth levels. We haven't. We have maintained them and grown them, which is really good, and shows how lucky and effective we are with our teams by producing a very good experience on those. At the same time, since about 2018, we've opened up the marketplace vector at Vorten, and we've started bringing in more and more sellers. Right now, there are over 4,000 different sellers at Vorten. You were talking about the competition between the 1P model and the 3P model, so the first party and third party model, i.e. on the first party we're a retailer, so we buy products and then resell them to the customers. Typically the margins are better for us, obviously, but at the same time we have an handicap, which is we cannot have 15 million products on our warehouse because that's not profitable at all. It makes no sense whatsoever. At the same time, we have 150 million sessions every single year. Why not capitalize on this and open up to the rest of the market and allow these 4,000 sellers from the whole world to actually use this traffic that we have and actually sell to our customers products that we don't actually are going to have on our warehouses. So right now, before we opened up the marketplace, we had about 500,000 products available to our customers. Right now we have 15 million products, and this is growing to double digits every single month with an incredible team, and we are going to continue extending this. The relationship with the sellers is obviously really good. They capitalize on our traffic. We obviously want the customer to come to Vorten, search for everything and find it. Even more than this, we're talking about the marketplace of products. We have invested tremendously on the marketplace for services by acquiring Zask, which is a Portuguese services marketplace a few years back. And this is starting to capitalize under the Vorten Resolve brand, i.e. The customer can now come over and not only buy its products, but also fix their products, and having access to a whole range of different services, such as a plumber, a babysitter, a pet sitter, etc. So we have tudo e mais não sei quê. That's our goal.
Right. So the growth of online sales, including marketplace and all this includes. So you were mentioning that you bring to the table visibility as Quanto Custa, and André was also saying that I imagine you bring also the access to payment methods, different payment methods, and interesting. I think we were talking about buy now, pay later, for instance. I don't know if you want to talk a bit about the impact of having those tools more easily available to merchants, that if they went all by themselves, would, even if they had a lot of traffic, would be more difficult to handle if they were by themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we started in 2002 with Santander Consumer Finance, with consumer credit. The impact was good, but not as we expected. So we knew that we needed something else. And in late 2022, we started with Flow, with Buy Now Pay Later. From that moment on forward, we saw a huge impact. Not only on sales, 2023 was a great year for us, not only on sales, but in some areas, we saw the average ticket growing 3, 4, 5 times. Something that we didn't saw until that moment. What we did to the merchants, what we then explained was we implemented a new payment method, but the merchant is not going to pay, will not increase our commission. We wanted to try, we did. We saw a huge growth. In January 2023, Buy Now Pay Later was 5% of our transactions. It ended the year with 19%, and actually it's around 22%. So, and we saw the same growth on consumer finance also in 2023. Okay, not on the same level. We are talking about 23% for Flow and around 3% for Santander Consumer Finance, but overall we are talking about more than 25% of our transactions are with this type of payments. But then we have some particularities on the business. When we sell iPhone, for example, the brand Apple, 70% of the sales are done with these two models, with these two payment methods. When we talk about used iPhones, 95% is done with Buy Now Pay Later. So we know that in some areas, Buy Now Pay Later has a huge impact. So it's a must-have.
Is that your experience at Vorten?
It is our experience as well. It's not as big. I guess it's due to the different setup of the business, obviously, as a retailer. Yeah, but we do have about every month between 10 and 13% of our payments in a Buy Now Pay Later or a credit format, which is done via Universe, which is a Sonai brand as well. And it's fundamental. In Spain, for example, because we don't have the Universo there, we use Credia. And a nice example of how important this is during the implementation period, we changed our partner, but during the implementation period last year, we had about 2 months downtime of that modality, and the impact on sales was a double-digit one, a significant one. So it literally jumped to be a key priority of the whole technology team to implement this correctly.
That's how we know your priorities.
Absolutely, there you go. It's what actually moves the needle. So the credits is important, especially for an electronics company. If we want to sell a fridge, not everybody has 800, 900, 1,000 euros sitting in the bank. And so it is fundamental to give this possibility to the Portuguese families, and especially on a time like this. So it's crucial.
And maybe as Quanto Custa is primarily a price comparison tool and has a greater weight of credit, maybe it has also to do with price sensitivity on behalf from the customer onto that. So moving on to other solutions that the marketplaces can provide the merchants, we can talk about logistics.
Yes.
So do you want to start and then we move on to Nuno?
Sure,
or?
definitely. Well, I can have a good word to tell about CTT as well. At Vorten, on the marketplace part, the logistics is fundamental. We were listening to Megan on the previous presentation on how important it is for the customer to actually get its product on time or at the date, whenever the promise is made, basically. And to us that's fundamental. Coming to the marketplace part, it is a huge pain. On a previous experience at DOT, we were in charge of the whole logistics process between the seller and the customer, and the difference was huge because we controlled the end-to-end flow of a package. At DOT, the seller was not independent to actually ship the product directly to the customer. We went there via CTT, picked up the product and took it to the final customer. The big difference was that at any given point we knew exactly where the order was, right? Mm-hmm. Every single point we knew exactly where the order was, and we never missed a package, so that was great. Nowadays on the marketplace part, and as we started at Vorten, was more of an independent basis. So each seller uses its own carrier, ships it to the final customer. The issue with that, and Megan probably has that same issue, is that more often than was supposed to, the tracking codes don't work. It doesn't actually work as planned. They have all the information. The providers have all the technology and transparency, but in practice, they don't. And so about 30 to 40% of the packages go not missing, but at some point when the customer calls us, you don't know where it is, and even though they didn't go missing, they're like a bit in a gray area in the universe. So yeah, exactly. So under some hood or something like that. That was one of the things that we've implemented at Vorten, and that has had tremendous impacts. Like we've implemented one part, which is the Vorten Entrega, which is we go to the seller, we pick up the package, we give it to them, and the second layer of this is the fulfillment, Vorten fulfillment. And on both of these, the impact in terms of NPS to the customer has been about a difference of about 15 to 20 points between each of these. On the fulfillment part, we're reaching high 70s, high 80s in terms of NPS, and that is an incredible experience for the final customer. And for the seller, they're actually seeing the value of and actually seeing that they actually don't need to have the actual product on their own warehouse. They can keep it with us, we can ship it to their Amazon, their Shopify platform, whatever it is. But the fact that we take accountability of it, then perfect, 2 pontos custa to whatever. So there you go. So that's more or less how the logistics is planning out on our end as well.
Yes, and I do imagine it's a challenge to maintain, as Megan was saying, the level of service consistent across all merchants, and probably you also see the statistics that the better the level of service, the better the
completely. We've just implemented, for example, our seller premium label on the website, and this only goes to sellers that have certain level of SLAs. And so it's not a promoted part, a paid part, or anything like that. Only if you have a certain very high standard of SLAs, do you actually get that label. And what happens is that the result of a proper logistic process of promising on the delivery and delivering it on the time you promise to the customer makes your sales jump over 20%. Just by having that transparency and having a good NPS of the customer.
The tracking, it's not missing, it's just not tracked.
Yeah, there you go.
So Nuno, speaking about logistics, and maybe we can talk about the logistics company that's been here maybe the longest and has quite a story to share also. Because it's been transforming over the last five centuries, and keeps transforming as end consumers and retailers alike are becoming more digital. Do you want to talk about logistics and other solutions that
Sure.
CTT provides.
Sure. First of all, thanks to everyone, and thanks to FinTech House for the invitation. So we are not a marketplace. We are the first Portuguese startup. We were founded in 1520. And we are also the Portuguese postal operator. We have been around for quite some time. Just to have a notion, when we were founded, Fernando Magalhães hadn't yet concluded his circumnavigation trip, so we didn't know the world was round. We are also in the middle of a huge transformation journey at CTT, because as you all know, as any postal operator, our legacy business was distributing mail, and we have not that many letters to distribute now as we had a few years ago. So our main focus is to diversify our business lines and to do other kinds of stuff with the assets that we have to put on the market. And mainly, simplifying over a bit, it's two things. It's logistics, and e-commerce plays a huge part of that diversification journey, but is also financial services, and CTT has an history and a legacy of providing financial services. We have several partners over here that are our historic partners, and the combination of all these factors, not only the transformation journey that we are pursuing now, and the intensity of that transformation journey, but also our expertise on both e-commerce, logistics, and financial services, I believe puts CTT in the kind of a good positioning, or a unique positioning, to be more or less a logistic backbone that can serve other kind of companies, fintechs and not only fintechs, to provide value-added services to merchants or e-commerce platforms. And that's what we have been doing for the past few years. And obviously, we have a lot of initiatives that we implemented around this concept as a whole. We understand and we know as a fact, looking for the distribution of our main e-commerce partners, the relevance of marketplaces and what's their presence on the ecosystem as a whole. And we knew that, and we decided to create our own marketplace, and we created Dot 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Gaspar? Five years ago. Gaspar was there. Remember that. Yeah. Why not? And it was. I miss it as well. And it was a huge project, and the objective was, in fact, to create the biggest marketplace in Portugal. It had some challenges. One of the main challenges was what Gaspar and André were talking before. We didn't have traffic. We had to create that customer base. Quanto Custa and Vorten had traffic already, and it's easier to convert or migrate part of that traffic to the marketplace than it is to create a marketplace from scratch, and that's one lesson learned. But we have other initiatives, maybe not that much focused on marketplaces, but we created our own store building platform. We have a platform called Criar Lojas Online with a partner of ours. It's a startup from Castelo Branco, which is ShopKit, and we have more than 5,000 small sellers that are on board and on that platform. We obviously, a lot of the trends that Gaspar and André were talking before, also on this type of ecosystem. We have Buy Now Pay Later with Klarna as well, and we see some adoption with Buy Now Pay Later. I think the mix, it's a little bit, and the profile of the sellers is different, because it's typically smaller merchants, and Buy Now Pay Later with smaller tickets, and it's not the adoption is not that high. But there are other topics that are completely crucial to an e-commerce experience, and we talk about payments. We also have a payment company called PayShop. PayShop is on their process as well of digitalization. We created PayShop Online Payments to enter the digital payment ecosystem as well. We are launching stuff such as Pay by Link, which allows a small seller to create a QR code and to send a QR code to the buyer, and for the buyer to be able to buy the product that they want to buy. We created a digital wallet as well. Nowadays it's a vertical solution for schools, but it has an incredible adoption. We have more than 100 municipalities with our digital wallet and more than 400,000 students using the wallet. And we are thinking, how can we migrate the solution for the e-commerce ecosystem as a whole? And then we go into the logistics part. And I think here is where the embedded part of the journey gets really interesting. We have stuff like parcel lockers, and how do the parcel lockers change the way we receive our parcels, and not only receive but also drop off parcels, and how do the payment part of the process gets into this. We launched another solution with a Portuguese startup called the Loop Company for easy returns for small and not that small sellers. If they want to provide a reverse logistics solution to their e-buyers, to be able to do that in a very no-frills way. And here the payment part of the process and the refund part of the process is also a pain point that has to be addressed. And I would say everything goes around these concepts as a whole. What I believe it's relevant in our case in particular is how can we in fact create a bunch of solutions that address several topics of the e-commerce value chain as a whole. And I believe we can be a significant partner on doing this kind of stuff. Insurance as well. We talked with Nancy in the past, and we want to reignite those conversations as well. We talked with habit analytics as well, because at the end of the day, what all these projects have in common is, or they were corporate startups, which is the case of Dot, and the case of Loki, which is our parcel company, is a corporate startup as well, or they were built in partnership with startups. And this, I believe it's more or less, I don't know if it's a differentiating factor of CTT, but nowadays we are completely eager of partnering with startups and deploying stuff together to the e-commerce ecosystem. We also have a corporate VC fund. Until now we have 7 investments. Curiously enough, 4 of them are fintechs. We invested in Habit Analytics, Fraudio, Paynest, which is in the room as well, and UB Rider, which I believe it's here as well. And this is a little bit putting the money where our mouth is. We really believe that fintech is really relevant for the ecosystem of e-commerce as a whole, and we want to partner with fintechs to deploy solutions along the value chain, and also we are interested on investing on those startups as well.
So a very young startup.
Yeah, very young. Not that young, but young in spirit.
Very experienced startup, yes. Speaking of Anansi, I understand it's a good business, it would be a good business case for a logistics company, as Megan has shown. Is it something that makes you also think it could be interesting?
To us, yes, definitely. I think the role of the marketplace is actually to empower its retailers, right? So empower its sellers. We have a unique position because we know the customer and we are in direct contact with the customer, and we can filter that back to the seller, helping them increase their business. Well, I remember, perhaps you remember as well, a few of the initial sellers that joined Dot back in the day, that right now are in the top 5, top 10 sellers at Vorten. So they've grown tremendously. And I remember when we launched that program of Cristina Ferreira, the guy came on his car to bring in these products for product placement and so on. And he's a super humble guy until today. But you see the impact that such platforms have on the lives of small retailers. And so it is our role to actually empower them as much as possible. So solutions such as Anansi, for example, which is super attractive and definitely on our radar. Solutions such as, for example, on seller financing, we, as Nuno said, we partner with startups as much as we can because they actually increase our go-to-market. We're a big beast, a big oil tanker, and so every time we want to turn, it obviously takes a while. And so the way we actually move faster is by partnering with startups and with other companies, and that's great because like that we can source new ideas, we can source new ways of seeing, and so we continue being a startup after many years. For example, on seller financing, we partnered with Cashflow, for example, to give our sellers a way of getting paid on the following day, as opposed to waiting 15 or 30 days for their payment. What this means is that they have cash in the bank on the following day, and so they can renew their stocks. It's a lot better for their financing as well. We give them access to the credit solutions as well, something that for them by themselves they wouldn't be able to access. We give them access to the whole logistics play. We give them access to simplified invoicing and payment solutions. So I guess that's what our big role is how can we empower these 4,000 sellers that we have and help them reach another level, and like that creating jobs and so on. So there you go.
And André, I understand at quanto custa you also have this financing,
we are
merchant financing.
implementing. We should finish this first quarter. Like Kaspar was saying, we know that it's very important for us to help the sellers to sell more. They can only sell more if they have more stock. So by delaying the payments, because we need to delay the payments, quanto custa cannot pay on the following day. We are concluding negotiations with 3 companies. One of them is Cashflow, to implement also not only the instant payout, but also cash advance. So they have a line of credit with no bureaucracy like going to the bank, where they can have 20,000-30,000 euros. They can invest in stock, so they can sell more.
All fintech. Fintech startups also. Very good. So I think we've covered a bit of all the topics we wanted, and we still have a few minutes. Do you want to add something, or shall we also ask? Yes, take questions.
Take questions.